friend Troy Brown joining us this morning. Troy, good morning, my man. How you doing?
DA, what's happening, man? What's going on?
I guess another year, different year, same story for you guys,
Yeah,
huh?
different city this time around. But hey, I'm looking forward to it, man. I look forward to this time of year every year.
Did you have your doubts about the Patriots in yesterday's game going into the game because of how they had fared on the road this year, or did you know they would look much better in the playoffs on the road than we saw in the regular season?
Well, I didn't have too many doubts about them because I saw the way they ended the season and then the way they beat the Chargers last week and their style of play and what they wanted to accomplish with this football team was make it a running football team. You want to run first. So I knew they kind of had a chance with the weather and that situation, being cold and the way they used the short pass as a part of the run game as well. So I thought they had a pretty good chance as long as it was a close ball game that they would probably time manage better and manage the game better than what the Chiefs would do.
You've been in that huddle so many times with Tom Brady. Obviously, in big moments, in clutch situations, he's at his best. We saw that again yesterday in overtime. How can you define what separates Tom in those moments versus all the other quarterbacks?
Man, I think it's kind of hard to explain, but I don't think there's another human being on the planet as competitive as Tom Brady. I mean, I like to think that I was competitive, or I am competitive, and I've seen competitive people, but I've never seen anything like what Tom Brady brings to the table every single day. So it's kind of unexplainable, just how somebody who's been this successful for this long can still carry a chip on his shoulder for something that happened 20 plus years ago. So, but I don't know. I have to ask his parents. You know, what did you guys do to this kid? Man, I don't know. But he's a different cat.
Troy Brown is our guest this morning here on the DA Show on CBS Sports Radio. Was he like that when he took over as the starter in 2001? Did he have that hyper-competitive nature?
Yeah, he was that way when he came through the door. I mean, he wasn't probably not as animated with it as he is now, but he was the cat that he was meeting players down the field, if they missed a pass or something. I think Vincent Brady was the guy that comes to mind, and not that it was confrontational, but it was just more, what were you thinking on this particular play? So he's always trying to gain knowledge of what the receiver is thinking and trying to get on the same page, and he thinks it should be done this way. So he was kind of that way from day one. But, you just see now, I think it shows through a little bit more because he's been around us so long. He's got a lot of players that hadn't been around as long as he has, and I think it's just his leadership shows a whole lot more than it has in the past.
There's that classic story where Joe Montana in the Super Bowl in the middle of a 2-minute drill looks up during a timeout and says, "Hey, is that John Candy?" And the idea is that no moment was too big. He was always just so composed and so cool. Is that Tom Brady, or is Brady more on edge and more fiery when it comes to those 2-minute drills and those big moments?
Well, I think you could probably say that's kind of Tom Brady, that no moment's too big for him. I think he had a quote this past week talking about that the more he studies, the less nervous he gets. So, and the more he prepares. So, which makes sense, but who would think Tom Brady even gets nervous in the first place?
True.
But, but it just tells you the more he knows about your football team, the less worries he's going to have about the entire game. And there's nothing you can throw at him that he hadn't seen before.
Troy Brown joins us this morning on the show. What's your early read on the Patriots and Rams matchup?
Well, I mean, I like the matchup right now. Obviously, I'm a homer for one. So,
right.
And then the fact that you got Tom Brady going up against Jared Goff, and the Rams defense, they have a lot of not name recognition on that defense. Have they been playing better? They have been playing better, and some of my makes on the show that we do here, the pregame show that we do on NBC Sports Boston, they push back on me a little bit about it. They think that the Rams got the interior lineman to be able to get that pocket push up the middle on Tom Brady that kind of just gets him off his spot. Sue and Donald. And then they threw in the fact that you got Talib out there, and you got Peters on the other side, two guys that plays with attitudes all the time. Can, kind of get that team going in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But, I just think that 18, 19 years of experience on the Tom Brady side, I think it wins out against pretty much anybody else. And then throw in Belichick and that coaching staff that they have, and these guys now, they actually flip the switch in the playoffs like you have to do. You have to take your game to another level. The intensity's got to be different. And they've done it since the moment they set foot on the field against the Chargers. So I feel like they're just ready for the moment.
Yeah, well put. Troy Brown joins us this morning on the show. Now, Troy's going to be fundraising and riding in the Pan Mass Challenge this year. He rides because his mom suffered from cancer as well as two of his former college teammates. It's a 110-mile bike ride from Sturbridge to Provincetown in Massachusetts the first weekend of August. All funds raised go to the PMC and Dana-Farber to support cancer research. It's an amazing ride, an amazing cause. I know you're part of a lot of really important causes in Boston. This one's hits close to home for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes, it does, man. I think, if you haven't been touched by cancer, then I'm not sure where you're from.
Yeah.
So, and it's pretty much, hit home a couple, 2.5 years ago. And with my mom, and thank goodness it wasn't a very aggressive cancer. My college quarterback passed away probably about 4 or 5 months ago. So at 48 years old. So another teammate of mine that, was stage 4, and thank goodness he's in remission now. So, it's just it's been hitting us left and right. But so I decided to get out and ride last year and do it again this year. So, and by the way, the 110 miles, that's just the first day.
Oh.
The second day is like another 80 miles.
Oh, my gosh.
Out to Provincetown.
Holy cow.
So it's a fantastic time. I think it was like maybe 6,000 riders last year, over 4,000 volunteers. And like you said, the money, 100% of the money goes to Dana-Farber. So you can go to pmc.org, and I think my link is TB0330 if you want to help my cause out.
Yeah, you can donate to Troy Brown's cause. Go to pmc.org. That's Pan Mass Challenge, pmc.org, and you'll see the riders and Troy Brown's page. You can help donate there and help support a tremendous cause. Troy, you're a great man, and I appreciate you stopping by, and I guess I'll see you next week in Atlanta, huh, bud?
I'll see you next week, man. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you.
Back at you, man. Thanks so much.
Yep.
Troy Brown, one of the real class acts, one of the best guys I've ever worked around and with. We handled pregame and postgame together for a number of years on NBC Sports Boston when it came to the Patriots telecast and games, and just one of the best. So really cool to catch up with him. I appreciate his time, and he's got a great cause, as we just were talking about.